Hello, everybody. Macho Wrestling 101. Brett Mix here for another edition of Monday Night Wars. This is Monday Night Nitro, October the 16th, 1995. It was held at the Albany Civic Center in Albany, Georgia. This is the 7th Nitro in totality, and it's the 6th week of the Monday Night Wars that Nitro and Raw go at it. I won't make you wait for the ratings. Again, after Nitro and Raw both tied last week for the second straight week at 2.6, Nitro this week got 2.2. They went down by 0.4, but Raw stayed the same. Raw got 2.6 again. So Raw beats Nitro by 0.4 in the ratings, 2.6 to 2.2. This is the 2.2 Nitro that we're going to get to right now live on TNT, as again from Albany, Georgia. They start out with Johnny B. Bad and DDP for the TV title. DDP's got Diamond Doll, which is Kimberly, by his side. This match never gets going. It's a disqualification early as DDP beats on Johnny B. Bad and hits him with his TV title. So he gets disqualified before the match even begins. DDP is disqualified. So B. Bad wins by DBQ, but obviously not the belt because the match didn't even become official. So no rating for that. Next, we got Benoit versus Guerrero. Benoit makes his WCW debut and shows little emotion on his way to the ring. Both men tie up. Benoit hits an arm drag, side headlock. Guerrero comes off with a leapfrog. There was like 4 or 5 different leapfrogs both of them had in different ways. A step over into a reverse wrist lock, a standing switch, 2 technicians, 2 athletes, 2 of the best. Then a head scissors take over by Eddie, and then he does a 619 attempt, but Benoit moves out of the way. And then a crossbody from Eddie all the way from the top rope to the floor to Benoit. Eddie sends Benoit into the ring post, or Benoit sends Eddie into the ring post forearm, and then Benoit gives him a couple shots on the outside before hitting a side suplex in the ring. They put over Benoit's explosive power, calling him the Canadian Crippler. Benoit Irish whips Eddie's sternum first and then hits a missile dropkick. A beautiful snap suplex to Guerrero and then a hard Irish whip to the corner. Benoit goes for a backbreaker, but Eddie jumps off the middle rope with a tornado DDT instead. Eddie then covers Chris, and Benoit comes back with Irish whips him to a clothesline. Chris chops Eddie hard 3 times, then a headbutt and a power slam into the mat. Eddie works over Chris as he tries to hit a hip lock, and then Benoit counters and torques the arm, torturing Eddie on the mat. Eddie then counters with a monkey flip, and his attempt is lifted, but Eddie lands on the top rope with his agility and hits a springboard Hurricane Rana. Amazing counter move by Guerrero to Benoit. Benoit then caught with a side suplex. Guerrero is 1 step ahead, and Benoit then counters with a Northern Lights suplex and a pinning combination. Guerrero kicks out as a close near fall. Guerrero goes up after he gets on the offense to a frog splash attempt, but Benoit gets the knees up and signals for the end. Eddie is hit with the sickest Tiger Bomb. Benoit power bombs Eddie right to the mat, and then hits a Northern Lights suplex with a full Nelson bridge for an outstanding win at 8:36. I rate the match 4 stars. It was incredible. Just under 10 minutes, these two went out there and got everything Bischoff ordered and more. Mean Gene then welcomes Sullivan and Giant to the ring. Kevin Sullivan says he's evil, and they stripped Hogan of his identity by shaving his mustache and taking away his yellow and red colors. Next up, Ming take on Jim Duggan. Both men chop it out in the ring. Ming chokes on Duggan, who Irish whips him hard with a clothesline. Duggan slammed to the mat. Ming then hits Samoan Spike and wins at 151 after hitting the Samoan Spike to the throat of Duggan. So I give that 3/4 of a star. Then Hulk Hogan cuts a promo all in black talking about how he foreshadows the future. This is pretty much like a heel Hogan that we're going to get in the future. The main event of Nitro was Ric Flair and Sting versus Arn and Pillman, but Pillman and Sting didn't show up to the ring until halfway through the match. Pillman and Sting chopped the hell out of each other. Pillman and Flair. The match was filled with Flair doing Flair-like things, wooing, chopping, styling, profiling. Anderson and Pillman bumped around a lot. Then Sting came running from the back after the fans were chanting for him. He dressed all in red with red face paint. It's a Stinger, still Surfer Sting, not the Crow Sting in red. Surfer Sting all in red face paint, red tights. Flair and Pillman were Arn and Pillman were dominating Flair. Then Flair makes the hot tag to Sting, and the crowd comes unglued as Sting comes in with clotheslines and lays out Anderson, lays out Pillman. Flair didn't have to do much work on the outside as he was recovering. The ref then says they win by countout at 7:04 as Pillman and Flair and Sting. Sorry, I'm getting these mixed up. Flair and Sting win by countout. Arn and Pillman are counted out at 7:04. Good tag action here. I rated it at 2 stars and 3/4. Mean Gene talks to Flair and Sting mid-ring after the match. Sting said Flair shows heart and guts. Sting says at Halloween Havoc they're going to take on Pillman and Arn. And then Bischoff says next week Benoit and Malenko will take on Guerrero and Alex Wright. So that's one to look forward to next week. And they talk about the possibility of starting a cruiserweight division. Bischoff goes on a spiel about that, which is awesome and one of the best things he ever did as being in control of WCW. Last week, again, Bischoff was ahead of McMahon in the curve in their lead Monday Night Wars. He just was. Last week, I gave Nitro a 7 out of 10 quality rating-wise. This week, and they were tied 2.6 last week in the ratings. Again, 2.6 for Raw, 2.6 for Nitro last week in Week 5. This week in Week 6, I gave it a 7 out of 10 quality-wise again, even though the ratings was 2.2. WWF beat Nitro this week 2.6 to 2.2. But again, I gave Nitro a 7 out of 10 last week. I'm going to bump it up to 7.5 out of 10, which is the highest I've given Nitro. I'm going to bump it to 7.5 instead of a 7. I just thought the Benoit Guerrero match was too much of a classic. So I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10, which is the highest rating I've ever given Nitro, as I just said. And it's not like I've been giving Nitro bad ratings. I've given it 7 out of 10, 5.5, 6, and a 6, respectively, as I've looked back. I'm keeping track of the quality ratings out of 10. I'm keeping track of the TV ratings. And we'll see what Week 7 has to hold. But Week 6, we saw WWF beat Nitro. We'll see what Week 7 has to hold, just like I said. And right now the scoreboard is Nitro with 1 win, WWF with 3 wins, and 2 ties. So that's the scoreboard going into Week 7. So we'll see what Nitro does with that great Benoit and Malenko versus Guerrero and Alex Wright match that they have planned. Plus Hulk Hogan's going to be in the building as they build towards Halloween Havoc. I believe it's the go-home show when we see Nitro next. Anyway, this episode, which drew a 2.2, as I again was a 7.5 out of 10. I'm Brett Mix, and we'll see you on the next Nitro review. I'm out.